Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
For every last penny they have,
you're giving me a gun that's painted blue and you want to charge me $2.
We would instead highlight some great games from the good old days.
I used to be with it.
And for episode 1 of Why You Must Play, we're going to be ripping the heart out of Starbreeze Studios' 2007 forgotten masterpiece known as The Darkness. But before we start, let's quickly cover the history of this little gem, shall we? As The Darkness may have slithered onto store shelves in 2007, but the game's silky-haired protagonist Jackie Estacado's story actually dates all the way back to 1996, where he first appeared in the comic book series known as Witchblade. The character became so popular, he even inspired a god-awful British rock band. Nah, obviously I'm yanking your old Todger, but yeah, Jackie did eventually find himself headlining his own printed run, known as The Darkness. The comic and his popularity gained the attention of Majesco Entertainment, a publisher known for blessing the world with the likes of A Boy and His Blob, yet also cursing the world with Blood Rain. Anyway, old Majesco ran into some financial issues, so decided to sell the rights of the IP and any work that had been done on the Darkness video game to 2K Games. And then, with the help of Starbreeze Studios, the extremely talented chaps that gave the world the awesome Chronicles of Riddick escape from Butcher Bay, finally, The Darkness slithered onto store shelves in the middle of June 2007. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the history behind the game. So now it's time to set our sights on exactly why you must play The Darkness. But instead of a lengthy rant, we're just going to dissect the reasons into some bite-sized segments so you can digest them like some Mob Enforcer's melons. Yummy! Story. First up, we've got to talk about the game's strongest selling point, which is hands down its story. Gameplay may age, but a good story will never die and can even aid the most dated of gameplay in standing the ruddy test of time, and this title is really the prime example of that. The Darkness not only tells a gripping, mobster meets monster tale, but also intricately weaves in a story of loss, grief, revenge, and how this can all affect one's mental state, which, looking back, you've got to say was really unique to see in a 2007 video game. I mean, especially one that revolves around your protagonist growing demonic talking tentacles out of his goddamn back. And yeah, honestly, I can say that after playing through this gem again for this video, the story is as strong as it ever was.
I remember the night of my 21st birthday. That was the first time I died.
Anyway, that's enough of me gushing.
Nice.
The story of The Darkness quite literally starts with a bang.
Hey, it's your Uncle Paulie. You know you've been a pain in my ass since the day I met you, Jackie. Pissing and moaning about the way I do business. Well, you need to learn who's calling the shots in this family. In fact, I got a surprise for you. On your birthday. It's in the closet. Have a blast.
Actually, that's a lie. Let's rewind a bit. Okay. So the story, quite literally, starts with a whack. Oh, that's gotta hurt.
Let's see that in an instant replay.
This is where we are introduced to the titular character, Jackie Estacado, in a high-speed car chase after a job gone wrong. Oh yeah, it just so happens to be old Jackie's 21st birthday, but we'll get to that in a minute. After some questionable driving and a few shotgun blasts, it's time to get into the meat of the game. You're given some guns.
Some fucking 21st birthday for you, huh?
You shoot your slightly injured friend. Well, I did, just to see if I could. Did you? Come on, be honest in the comments below, guys.
Of course you did, we all did.
Got your present.
Thanks, Mikey.
Attaboy, Jackie. You look after those pieces and use them well.
While this segment is only a glorified set piece, it's a really smartly implemented way to hook you in from the word go.
Some fucking 21st birthday for you, huh?
So now, we've all put our good friend out of his misery, it's time to murder some suspiciously armed construction workers. I mean, they all have their PP up to code, but hard hats really weren't designed to stop bullets, were they? And after all that shooty bang bang time, we find ourselves on the wrong side of a double cross from Jackie's uncle Paulie. Being the twisted bastard he is, Paulie gives Jackie a birthday present he's never gonna forget.
That was the first time I died.
While this would probably kill a mere human, Jackie, however, he just has too much edge and far too much conditioner in his hair for this to even faze him.
Because I'm worth it.
So he shrugs off the explosion and the falling fool and decides to take some downtime in a bathroom. Funnily enough, old Jackie's balls decide to drop at this point, so the edgy protagonist with the oh-so-silkiest of hair gets to sprout demon-headed tentacles, summon black holes, and even the odd goblin, which obviously takes his edge well over 9,000. Now Jackie has not only the skills of one of the Mafia's finest hitmen, but also the powers of the darkness, which he obviously uses to continue his murder spree and get his much-needed revenge.
Through you, I am born.
Yeah, that's kind of the basic plot, as if you haven't played the game, it really is best left unspoiled for you. But if you know, you know, as what follows is a twisted and tragic tale that will keep you engrossed while also taking some supernatural twists and turns that you're unlikely to see coming. And yeah, the mishmash of crime-ridden mobster underworld revenge tale with a dash of horror and blended with some fantasy creates a monster of a story you're not going to want to miss. And yeah, even though I will probably mention these sections later as I'm a bit of an alcoholic and my memory's a bit shady, the whole story is grounded by the smartly hidden loading screens and character interactions in the hub sections. These not only help to flesh out the events of the game, but also to help you form genuine relationships with the characters, and also gives the player some time for some much needed reflection between all the carnage. If you're a frequent user of the old hub, you'll know a great cast of actors is required to bring a sophisticated story to life.
We don't need police. He has a dick. Ah, he has a dick?
And the darkness is no different.
Me and Paulie never did agree about the way things were being done. Paulie took the business into selling drugs, working side by side with the cops. When I was growing up, the family had codes. We did business. We looked out for the people. I believe we ought to honor those codes. Now Paulie, he's just a parasite. Wants to bleed me dry.
Our main protag, Jackie Estacado, is brought to life by actor Kirk Acevedo, who portrays Jackie in such a manner you could honestly listen to him all day. Every time there's a need for the game to load, you'll be treated to these little monologues from Jackie that not only flesh out the overall character, but also helps the player bond with him as he talks about the events that have just unfolded, what he wants in life, and even his troubled childhood, which honestly, it just goes such a long way into helping the player understand how he's feeling throughout the course of the game without ever feeling like unnecessary exposition or padding. And yeah, Kirk absolutely knocks these scenes out of the park.
Well, I never had a life that was predictable. But what happened to me today? That's why I need you, Jenny. You're the only one I can count on.
The malevolent force known as the Darkness that effectively sees Jackie as just a mere meat puppet who constantly berates, scorns, yet when things get a little visceral encourages Jackie and aids him in his bloody soaked spree of revenge, is demonically voiced by the lead vocalist of the band Faith No More, Mr. Mike Patton. And yeah, while it has nothing to do with the game, I thought it was a fun little fact that Mike Patton is also responsible for voicing the infected in the movie I Am Legend, and also the majority of the zombies that plague Valve's Left 4 Dead games, which, you know, is kinda cool. Anyway, Patton's take on the demonic entity known as the Darkness is suitably evil in the best way possible. He's kind of like the devil on your shoulder who wants nothing more than for you to rip out the heart of any goon stupid enough to get in your way. It's kind of like that relationship between Eddie Brock and the symbiote in the 2018 Venom flick, only way more sinister, twisted, and disturbingly charming at the same time.
Through you, I am born. You are nothing but
And the rest of the cast is made up of Lauren Ambrose as Jackie's childhood sweetheart Jenny, Dwight Schultz as the murderous crime boss Uncle Paulie, Richard Stephen Horvitz, D. Bradley Baker, Jennifer Darling, and Fred Tatasciore as the four summonable, often hilarious Darklings, and we even get the man himself, Nolan North, portraying a young Jackie. Everyone involved in lending their vocals do a fantastic job of bringing the story and world to life and truly make the game the absolute gem it is.
You might be the clumsiest kid that ever fired a gun.
Happy birthday, rat face. You're finally legal.
You got balls, kid. You really got balls. And you got brains.
This problem with your Uncle Paulie has gone on long enough, Jackie. It's time to take action.
You're a dead man! You hear me? A dead man! Oh, the NYPD is behind me, Estacado. I own the NYPD.
I'm just here for the clean air and the engaging conversation.
Presentation. And now it's time to talk about what houses the incredible story and the interesting characters, and that is the grimy streets of New York City, which Starbreeze has beautifully, or should I say disgustingly, recreated in all its litter-covered glory here. Throughout the course of the game, you'll be committing mafia genocide through cemeteries, construction sites, Chinatown, restaurants, apartments, an orphanage. Yes, that's right, even a bloody orphanage. You heard me right, nowhere is off limits to old Jackie Forearms. And there's even a hellish World War I alternative dimension for you to sling some bullets in. But that's best left seen for yourself, as it's a horrific and surreal experience unlike anything you're likely to see in any other video game. Actually, no. Fuck you, Jericho, you suck. It may not seem the most exciting of locales, but it's the way the game strikingly represents them that makes them stand out. The visuals, tiny details, sound design, and more are brought to life by the enhanced version of the Riddick engine, which is evident from the richly mapped environments and excellent use of lighting. If you're familiar with Starbreeze Studios' previous work, you'll know they know how to make a great lighting system, and the darkness is no different. And all this just culminates in a game that looks just as good today as it did back in goddamn 2007. So yeah, my main point basically is that all these micro details just lend themselves into making the game's rich story and exciting gameplay feel like it takes place in a living and breathing world. This grimy, lifelike world is ever present in the subway sections, which act as a sort of quick travel hub to different areas and missions, because why the fuck would you take a cab in New York?
I'm walking here! I'm walking!
It's these sections here you can not only check yourself out in the mirror, demon form and all, but you can actually engage in conversation with various NPCs.
Roses, yum!
No, not those bellends, I mean actual bloody NPCs. And yeah, so talking to certain NPCs may also give you an extra task to complete that could earn you a nice little unlockable, or they may just tell you about their day. Kinda like real life, eh? If that wasn't enough though, the devs didn't stop there and chose to immerse you into the game's world tenfold by letting you interact with Jackie's childhood sweetheart girlfriend Jenny. At various points you can visit Jenny's apartment and just chill, chat, or even watch a full bloody movie with her. Yeah, full girlfriend experience coded into the game just for the sake of engrossing world building. Details like this, and even TVs strewn across the city airing news reports on in-game events as they transpire, is just a masterpiece of environmental storytelling. Sure, they are all just small details, but they go such a long way to make the experience that much more grounded and immersive.
Shooty, bang, bang.
Right, so onto the shooting. You see, the biggest criticism I see time and time again when people talk about the darkness is the gunplay. As yeah, I gotta admit, it is a bit of a mixed bag. Personally, as I grew up with the likes of GoldenEye and the Time Splitter series, it doesn't really bother me, and if you did too, it probably won't affect your enjoyment here. But to anyone who grew up in the Halo or COD era of gaming, well, it may get some getting used to, as the darkness has an extremely generous lock-on system that at times is a bit clunky, and at other times just kinda removes a lot of the difficulty that controlling your own crosshair brings to a shooter. It's only a minor gripe, but I can see why it puts some people off. But if you can ignore it, it does start to feel really great, as the way Jackie moves his arms about and instead of reloading his pistol, just straight drops them like goddamn John Wick, that more than make up for the kinda shaky gunplay, in my drunken opinion anyway. Honestly though, the way this game handles gunplay gave me some true gun fu vibes, which just makes Jackie insanely more badass, which in turn makes the player feel like a true PIMP in every firefight. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, when you get close enough to an enemy, Jackie can also pull off a cold-blooded, bullet-popping execution. So look past the full-body rendered nature of the movement and assisted aiming, and you'll be treated to an arsenal of weaponry to pepper all that stands in your way. You'll have access to pistols, SMGs, machine guns, and obviously the odd shotgun.
This is my boomstick!
And then later on in the game, you'll also gain the ability to wield darkness-infused firearms that are suitably devastating to use, even if they can't be used together with your darkness powers, which is a bit odd. Personally though, thanks to the cinematic nature of the firefights, I generally always leant towards using dual-wielding pistols. There's just something about the shooting and reloading animations that are just so bloody cool here. However though, the darkness isn't your bog standard shooter, and this leads us to the oh so satisfying darkness power, which is another reason I suggest you pick this one up, because it stops the gameplay from ever getting too stale.
Give me the power.
You see, old Jackie boy is from a long lineage of fellas who upon their 21st birthday are gifted, or maybe I should say cursed, with the power of an ancient demonic force known as the darkness. And what was it Uncle Ben said? Oh yeah, with great power comes a great amount of bloodshed. Yeah, I think that was it. Using the darkness power to its fullest is the key to turning the tide of battle in your favour. Obviously the powers are of course useful in battle, but some are also required for some light puzzle solving, which is always a nice distraction from all the bloodshed. And while the darkness power may turn you into a hellish killing machine, it's not infinite and requires you to stay, well, in the dark, as prolonged exposure to light will hurt the entity and will stop Jackie from accessing his newly found abilities. So taking out light sources is essential to progress, something you'll be doing a lot of throughout the game. So if you have some old sense in your noggin, you'll keep Jackie in the dark so you can enter full dark god mode, and all of its benefits like being able to use one of Jackie's many tentacles to rip the heart out of the lifeless bodies of your bullet ridden victims, which will regain your health. And I gotta say, this is gleefully disturbing yet satisfying every time. The first power granted to you is Creeping Dark, which essentially sees Jackie detach a tentacle from his body, which can then be used to slither around the environment to scout or just kill your prey without ever approaching them physically. However, when doing so, you'll lose control of being able to move Jackie, so you gotta be careful when deciding to wield this one, as you're basically a sitting duck. But it's not overly an issue, as the main use for this ability in my playthrough mostly boiled down to guiding the tentacle through air conditioning vents, flipping switches, knocking out light sources, and even destroying the odd lock. Sounds a little dull, but don't worry, on occasion you'll still be able to use it to chomp on a few goons. The next tentacle you can use that will probably make a hentai fan blush is the Demon Arm, which can be harnessed to not only spear your enemies straight through the chest, but also can be used to move and launch debris and knock out the pesky light sources that the darkness hates so much. Or, well, you could just throw environmental objects at your enemies. Using this ability is fluid, and an extremely handy easy kill method to save a little ammo. Also, ragdoll physics, you gotta love them. The best yet kinda OP power that would make Stephen Hawking proud that you can wield is the ability to summon black holes that will not only suck your enemies, but also any physics-based objects into a swirl of destruction, twirl them around in the air, and launch them into the environment. And while it does kind of feel like a cheat code when used, it really is also gratifying to harness, and sure to always leave a smile on your face when you do. Be warned though, using this ability will drain all of your darkness meter in one go, so be sure to use it when it matters most.
Darklings.
While not all that essential to combat, summoning the Darklings to aid you in battle is worthwhile alone due to the fact that they have so much goddamn personality. You'll get 4 to choose from, but the Darklings are a tad stupid at times and their AI can be a mess, but yeah. Each one is just so goddamn charming and hilarious, it's worth it for the dialogue alone. First up you have the Berserker, who is not only useful for tearing open the faces of your enemies, but also for opening gates and reaching areas of the game that are otherwise inaccessible to Jackie. Next up we have the army gear suited minigun wielding gunner Darkling, who kinda just essentially works as a deployable turret. This little bastard though has enough firepower to stop a train dead in its tracks. Taking out all the light sources in an area can be a bit tedious, so why not summon the Light Killer Darkling? And as his name implies, he kills light. These little gremlins are tethered to a car battery that's filled with electricity, and they can be used to power up generators and shut off every light in Jackie's proximity. While they are more of a support character, any enemies stupid enough to cross paths with the Light Killer are quite literally in for a shock. The last miniature hellspawn available to do your bidding is the aptly named Kamikaze Darkling, whose main job is, well, to blow everything up, itself included. These dapper dressed critters are not only used to wipe out large number of enemies in one go, but also for clearing paths that allow Jackie to progress. While the world of the darkness may be a bit grim and bleak, the Darklings and their humorous quips add some light-hearted humour amidst the bullets, blood and tragedy. And for unknown reasons, there's also a wealth of unlockable costumes and weapons for the Darklings. That is, if dressing up goblins is your kind of thing. Look, I'm not judging, I promise.
Every man for himself!
Why you must play the darkness.
So let's wrap this up. If you rip out the beating heart of this blood-soaked adventure, you'll find this as a must-play game due to its compelling, mature, and emotionally charged narrative, which is as gripping as it is heartbreaking. And yeah, it remains just as poignant today as the year it released, and offers a dark and gripping storyline that explores themes of supernatural powers, loss, revenge, inner conflict, and the battle between good and evil. That is honestly up there with the best stories ever told in gaming, which again is just perfectly brought to life by the well-crafted characters and voice acting that contribute to the emotional depth of the game. Jackie's relationships with his friends and allies are explored in such depth as well. It truly adds so many layers to his personality. And yeah, it's just this emotional engagement throughout that set this game apart from typical shooters that released around the same time. The game also shines due to its meticulously designed immersive atmosphere that creeps into every pixel of the game. The gritty and dark setting of New York City is brought to life with impressive visuals and attention to detail. The use of light and shadow is not only a gameplay mechanic, but also a visual motif that mirrors Jackie's internal conflict. The contrast between the shadows where Jackie's powers are strongest and the well-lit areas where he's vulnerable creates a dynamic and strategic gameplay experience that's not to be missed. Speaking of gameplay, the darkness also introduces unique mechanics that stop the game from being just another bog-standard run-and-gun shooter. Sure, you'll still be unloading lead into everything that stands in your way, but the inclusion of these hellish powers transform the shootouts into a sadistic playground of opportunity. While it may be a curse to Jackie, to the player, it's a great mechanic to add a variety to the combat and strategy to every situation, which in turn just makes the gameplay both engaging and bloody satisfying. The light environmental puzzles are also a welcome distraction, as are the moments of reflection the game and Jackie indulge in between all the guns and violence. There was a multiplayer mode too, but I honestly never played it. Have you? Was it any good? Let me know down below. And that, my friends, is exactly why you must play The Darkness. Before I go though, I'd like to say a massive thank you for watching or even listening. What are your thoughts on The Darkness? Is it an underrated masterpiece, or did the shooting mechanics put you off? Would you even like to see a remaster or remake of this game? Let me know down in the comments below, and until next time, you guys stay tipsy.